What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast, the official podcast of the New York Mets. Just wrapped up one of the wettest, dampest, soggiest series that I can remember from my recent memory against the Atlanta Braves, ending with a doubleheader on a Monday. Bizarre. The first game of the series happens on Friday, then 2 rainouts, then a doubleheader. It was just overall one of the weirdest weekends that I've experienced in a very, very long time. So much rain, as you guys know. We did lose a series as well, which stinks. Not particularly excited about that, but there's some things to take out of this that were at least good, and especially on the offensive side. A lot of good things going on with the New York Mets. So we will talk about every single game as we always do after every single series on this podcast. So make sure you guys are following us on all our social media at Mets'd, METSDUP on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're looking for the YouTube video version of this, go to the New York Mets YouTube channel, subscribe over there. We drop the video version of the podcast. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe so you don't miss out. James, how you doing, my man? What's going on?
Yeah, doing good, man. Both of us had our weekends back in Westfield. Both of us now. I'm back and just came back now. I'm very candidly watching Rangers Game 7 on another tab right now behind while we're doing this episode. But just a really weird, like you said, very bizarre, strange Mets series that we just had to witness.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been so much rain up until today, and it's going to rain, I think, on Tuesday too, right?
Yeah, all week again.
Yeah, great. Love it. Awesome. I love when it's raining. At least the Mets will be away in Detroit, the beautiful weather that is there. I think it's going to be like 40 degrees. We'll talk about that in the series preview. But yeah, this was a huge series with the Braves. The Mets had not necessarily been playing their best baseball. They had that little bit of a losing streak going up against the Giants and Nationals. Ended the series with a win, as we know on the episode that we recorded. But coming into this Brave series, there was a lot of questions, I think, by a lot of people in the baseball world about what the Mets were looking like. I think a lot of people just in the Mets fandom essentially were looking at this series as a very, very important one. And even us, we talked about that this is the most important series that we've played all year. And while it didn't necessarily go our way, it's for sure not doomsday like there are some people making out to be. Like, there were some good things that happened. And relatively speaking, starting with game one, it's pretty fluky what happened in game one. Let's be honest.
Like, we were having our own conversation, like, off air, like, whether we're going to go to City Field or not, because, like, you want to go to almost every single Mets game, but definitely every single Mets-Braves game, but then you saw the weather was, like, rain starting at 7, but the whole day was, like, kind of clearish. Not clearish, but at least it was just, like, a little windy and a little misty, and Gary Cohen talked about it. He was like, really stinks for playing this game in the pouring rain, and there was no rain from 2 to 7:15 today.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like you said, me and you were talking about it. One of our friends was trying to convince us to come because he was going to the game. And it was just like, is this rain actually going to ever come? And it happened as soon as the game started, which was unfortunate because you don't really want ever there to be like this wet, damp. You described it in the notes as soggy, which is now my new favorite way to describe a rain game. It was soggy, but it's true. It was just like a wet game, and you knew it was going to be 5 innings. You knew it was going to be quick. They had to get this one in, especially with the 4-game series and the fact that the Braves only come back to Citi Field one more time. So you don't want to have another 5-game series like we did last year. It was the perfect storm of just frustratingness to start the series in a way.
Definitely. And it was, again, just the culmination of now a full month where David Peterson, with coming in with high expectations after a really good end of the season last year, strong spring training, just wasn't good enough again. And the ultimately ended with a demotion to Syracuse after the game, which is very surprising to us, probably many Mets fans out there. But you just kind of watched that game. You saw him cruise through 4 innings. He had all the strikeouts. He wasn't walking anyone. He was getting ahead of the hitters. He was attacking the zone. You're like, all right, this is the David Peterson that we're used to. This is David Peterson that we'd come to expect this year. And then suddenly he gets into that 5th inning. He gets the 3rd time around the batting order and seems like guys are a little bit more equipped. He walked somebody. He gave up a couple dinky singles. And then Matt Olson comes up. And it was such deja vu to the game against the Braves last May. Also a doubleheader. We were at the game. That was when we were like first starting to like have these conversations with the Mets. We got on TV with Darren with the 7 line doing the celebration. Very fun day. But if you remember that day, it was either the 4th or 5th inning. And I looked at you in the stands and I was like, hey, I'm really going to have to go to the bathroom at some point during this game. And I'm going to go next inning when Matt Olson comes up because third time around, he's going to hit a home run off David Peterson.
Yeah.
And like, well, it really happened again this game. And for the 3rd start in a row for David Peterson, maybe even 4th start in a row, I can't remember. I only specifically remember the last 3. A lefty hit a home run off a slider and a lefty crushed home run off a slider. And it really just felt like this was going to happen. It almost felt inevitable, which sucks.
Yeah, and based on where the pitch looked like on TV, it was that same spot where you could basically close your eyes and take a swing at the ball, and it was right down the middle. Like, you couldn't have put it on a tee any better. And with Peterson getting sent down, I mean, like, it's It's confusing, but again, in the same sense, it does make sense because there definitely has been struggles for David Peterson, but we've also seen those little sparks of where we're like, oh, there's the pitcher that was good. Like, again, for the first 4 innings of this game, he was cruising. He looked fantastic, and it just all fell apart in that fifth. I don't know. Like, what do you think is really happening?
It seems like that there was a conscious effort by Peterson or someone else to make adjustments to his slider coming into the season. And the adjustment was to basically make the pitch a little bit tighter, try and almost make it more of a primary pitch, which makes sense given Peterson's repertoire and the way he's developed as a pitcher, because his sinker was always so. He's really done a lot of the work to get better extension in that fastball, get better ride on it, but it's still not exactly a top line fastball to where it's going to be a pitch you're comfortable throwing 40-50% of the time as a primary pitch. So I guess you saw the bones of this great slider that was a big whiff pitch for Peterson last year, and you're like, okay, we can tighten this up a little bit, make it a little bit more. People call it the gyro slider, something that is a new phrase going around baseball right now, where it's a little bit tighter and almost act like a little bit of a cutter. We can make this pitch primary. But what seems to have happened is that it seems like this pitch has been adjusted a little too quickly, and there's just something that isn't right about it right now. And again, the logic of making that move makes sense, because if you can make that slider your primary pitch and then work your repertoire off of it, when that pitch is the golden goose on top, you can get something. But what's happened this year is that slider's picked up 2 miles an hour so far. He's getting a little bit more on top of it in terms of his spin angle. Right? Last year he was spinning at around 4 o'clock if you're thinking about the clock, and this year it's closer to 2:30 on the clock.
Okay.
So you're getting a little more on top of it. With that, it's moving. It lost like almost a third of its horizontal movement. It's moving about 4 inches now to 2.3 inches every single time it's thrown. He's throwing it significantly more in the zone, 37% last year, 48% this year, significantly more. So much less out of the zone. Shout out Robert Orr, a baseball prospectus writer. I was tweeting with him about this today because there was a great chart on Brooks Baseball. He tweeted where it just shows in zone rate, out of zone rate, and they've come really close together. And last year they were really far apart. And then it, like a lot of other parts of that, makes sense when you think about those changes. It's getting 10 points less whiffs. Last year was almost getting 50% whiffs. This year is 37%. It's been in the heart of the zone this year 21% of the time. Last year was 16% of the time. It's being chased only 17% of the time last year, down from 32% last year. That's a chase rate that's well below league average. Significantly, like on all pitches, significantly below league average on sliders. And then, but with all that, the strikeout rate has dropped from 50% to 30%. And that was the pitch last year that he could rely on. Just get ahead in the count, throw your sinker, throw your fastball, get ahead. That wipes him out. So a pitch that really, it just seems like he hasn't fully gotten it where it has to be right now. And when that is your top pitch and it's not getting it's not getting it done, you're not going to get guys out.
Yeah, and I guess you can't really tinker with it that much at the major league level if these are the outcomes that we're now getting, which is probably why you send him to the minors. Like we said, he got optioned down to AAA. He can figure it out there. We still have faith in David Peterson to be a very good pitcher. Like you said, that slider is a good pitch. It's just right now it's not as sharp as it needs to be. It's not as good as it needs to be for David Peterson to truly be effective. And it's also a weird spot too, because the Mets really need some starting pitching. Although we know that Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are coming. They're going to be pitching in that Detroit series as the projected starters. So the pitching is coming, which kind of almost affords you to allow David Peterson to go down and work on some things, because now your two aces are going to be back in this rotation, hopefully looking healthy, and everything should be okay. So you don't have to rely on Peterson, a guy who maybe at the start of the year you didn't even know if he was going to be in the rotation on opening day kind of thing. So I think it's a weird spot because we both have a lot of faith in David Peterson, and it's not like we're done with this guy, and I don't think any Mets fan should be. But he definitely needs to fix whatever is happening, because this team is better when he is sharp like he was last year.
Definitely. And I do think also the emergence of Joey Lucchesi affords the Mets this opportunity to do with David Peterson as well. And they just need length from these guys, and Peterson is he's not giving to them right now, so they have to do something else. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see with Peterson going down to work on things, because this did happen last year too. While he was pitching pretty well, he had a few bad starts, he went back down, he came up and he was fine. I'm very intrigued to see, and there's not that much data on minor league pitch movement, but I'm going to do my best to find it every single time he makes a start, whether or not he does whatever he can to make this new slider the pitch he wants it to be, or tries to maybe readjust, revert back to the old one, find the right grip, find the right angle, find the right movement on there, and go back to the old way. Because this is a bit of a turning point in David Peterson's career. This is a moment for David Peterson right now. 27 years old. He's been basically in the big league team for 3 straight seasons. This is the worst stretch he's had since that has happened. And the team really, really desperately needs a starting pitcher. This is a guy I really thought was going to be really good for volume this year, kind of maybe even take a step forward, get a little better pitchability. He was really good there. and just the adjustments, the minor adjustments that were made to this pitch, whether it's been him, I don't know. We don't know. And also, it might not even be intentional. This might just be a mechanics thing. This could actually just be an accident. It was a not intentional adjustment, and it's just something that's an issue. And maybe that's what he's going to fix. But very intrigued to see what goes on with David Peterson in Syracuse for the next few weeks.
Yeah, dude's 6'7". We know the mechanics on a taller pitcher is even harder to replicate. So maybe it's just something to clean out the mechanics too. All that being said, relatively speaking, it wouldn't probably be perceived as bad of a start either, though, if this game went more than 5 innings. Because really, the Mets lost this game 3-4-0, I think it was.
I'm scrolling back now because it
feels like light years ago,
lifetime ago. Because it was, and also it was just so weird that it was 4-0. This game,
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
it felt like as this game was beginning and going on that we weren't going to play 9 innings.
No.
So, and I understand that.
And being in New York, too, we see the rain outside. We're like, oh, it's rain. And especially, I'm in Astoria. I'm very close to Citi Field, at least. I don't know what the difference is between Brooklyn and Queens, but in Astoria, it was raining cats and dogs at one point. I'm like, this game cannot continue to go on. It looks like they wanted to just get to 5, and hopefully the Mets had a lead by 5.
Definitely. So I did think that as I was watching it, like, okay, this is like as if this was the 9th inning. Like,
yeah.
But also, like, with Brooks Raley going on the IL. Well, I think this happened. Like,
that was after, yeah.
Yeah, but still, Muckenhirn wasn't here yet. If he went in the IL after the game, I'm sure he wasn't. Like, the pitch here. Like, who's going to get Matt Olson out besides for David Peterson? That was also the problem I remember from last year, too. Like, who is the guy? So, like, if you can't get him out, you can't get him out. But it just did feel like this was going to be the moment of the game, and the Braves just won it.
Yep. No, they just won it, and we didn't hit Max Fried, who's a good pitcher. We know he's a very solid pitcher. He's a big game pitcher, too. Guy always seems to step up. But Mets lose game 1. Then we had the rain for 2 days. It was just nonstop rain.
Didn't stop raining for a second. The tri-state area for 3 days.
Literally. I mean, like you said, we were talking about it off air. The Citi Field grass was looking green as ever. I mean, it was lush. I'm sure your front yards, wherever you're living, maybe not if you're in New York City, but if you got a patch of grass somewhere, I bet you it's greener than it's ever looked because the rain has been nonstop, and there's going to be a lot more. Luckily, though, we got to actually see some more baseball. It was just on Monday. It was 2 days later, 2 full days of no Mets baseball. Get back to game number 2 on Monday, which is one of the weirdest sentences I feel like I've ever said. Have you ever heard of a game 2 on Monday?
No, it felt like a fever dream. But also the fact that this was kind of a day that I marked on the calendar when the season started because we do this podcast mostly consistently on Sundays, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on how the series works out during the week. So it's always like, oh, if there's going to be a free Sunday, like circle it. Make plans with the family, make plans with friends. Sunday is like a great day to go do things, especially in New York City. It's a very hot day in the city. So I'm like, okay, there's a good Sunday for us. Like we could do some stuff. So knowing the series ended on Monday anyway made it so much more obscure that these teams didn't have a mutual off day because the series ending on a Monday for some bizarre reason. So this is going to be the 4th game instead. It became the 2nd game, and it felt very strange.
Yeah, very strange. And it was also a strange start to this one too because if you guys were at the stadium, you might have recognized the little voice calling out who was coming up to the plate, the PA announcer, Mr. Johnny Mikes. What do we call him? We got to come up with a nickname for this one.
Johnny PA's not bad.
Johnny PA, Johnny Press, something like that.
Johnny Public Address.
But John Barron, our own, or Jonathan Barron, as Gary called him on
Jonathan, yeah. I mean, that's his game name his mother gave him. I'm down to call him Jonathan.
Yeah, and his mother would prefer us, I think, for us to call him that probably instead of like Johnny Linens and Johnny Bahama, whatever we call him.
Johnny Lentils.
But John was doing the game on the PA, which was nice. I wasn't there, but I'm sure those of you there had to be at least a couple people in the stadium that was like, whose voice is this? I've heard this before. Where have I heard it? It's when John goes on his 30-minute tangent doing the estimate, which I don't even think John is here. Where is John? Oh,
John's not. John's at the Rangers-Devils game.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So we'll have to do the estimate without him. But let's talk about game 2 now, which was crazy because it felt like one of those games that like could have been one of those all-time great wins looking back on it because the Braves, it was weird from the start too because we had a bullpen game in game 1 of a doubleheader, which is usually not how you roll, but the Mets went with it. Denny Reyes getting the call up, pitching the first inning, fine, right? And then the second inning was where he ran into a little bit of trouble, and then John Curtis.
The first inning, it definitely wasn't like super fine. It felt like the Braves kind of had a beat on him, and I do remember like over the weekend the Mets were mentioning that they did want to get Denny Reyes stretched out. That's why he went to the minor leagues originally, but he wasn't down the minor leagues very long. His longest outing down there was only about 38 pitches, so it was like, okay, he really isn't stretched out, so it wasn't super likely. And in that first inning, that is when, I mean, the first 2 batters reached against him. Ronald Acuna hit a single, Matt Olson a single. Like, okay, something's happening here. Then Sean Murphy just hit a wicked home run. You're like, all right, this really might not be it. And then you come out for the second, and Michael Harris immediately hits a single, and Kevin Pillar hits a home run. You're like, okay, this is not the Denny Reyes day. It was Buck did say they wanted to get 3 out of him. I think they were probably saying that and at least just hoping for 2. The Braves are really squaring him up early, though. I was surprised to see him come out for that second inning, but we're at a time right now with the Mets where we need any kind of innings we can get out of anybody. I mentioned it. I tweeted it out today. We still are yet to have a pitcher complete 6 innings twice this season. It's been a slog out there for the guys who started the games for us, but it just felt from the start that Denny Reyes wasn't the guy who was going to get the bulk of the innings.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big bullpen day. We mentioned Denny Reyes. John Curtis came in after him through 2 innings, gave up 1 earned run, 1 hit. Did a decent job, right? Stephen Nogosek.
Well, the John Curtis 1 earned run was Ronald Acuna Jr. hitting the longest home runs ever been hit in the history of the sport. So I might push back on that. But again, John Curtis, I mean, he settled down really nicely after that. It was just that fact that it was like the first or second pitch he even threw. No, it was the 5th pitch he threw. I'm looking now. It was 3-0, strike looking down the middle, and then next one down the middle again. And Ronald Acuna hit it to the moon. And then made an obscene gesture to the Mets, which I did not appreciate.
Which we'll talk a little bit more about in Game 3, but going around third, Acuna gave like a little bit of like the little brother sign, right?
Too small.
Like you're too small, you're down here. Listen, I am so pro bat flip. I'm so pro home run celebration. I'm pro like hype. The trash talk, there's a line. There's a line. You can teeter it a little bit. You can walk it a fine line. Felt like that one might have been a little bit too much. And to be fair, it did seem like the Mets bats, who they started the game off pretty well, but the Mets bats did wake up in this game. And we got to Spencer Strider, who has been considered one of the better pitchers in baseball, has pitched really well this year. But the Mets kind of like have this guy's number a little bit.
Definitely a little bit. Definitely more than everybody else in baseball has it, which is kind of something we can hang our hats on. For some reason, that guy walks in the City Field and the little mustache shrivels up and he can't really pitch.
All 5'9" of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the bullpen day, so the offense kind of knows that going in. We're like, we got to show up a little bit. And they scratched one across in the first inning and made him throw almost 40 pitches. You're like, okay, we're doing it now. Let's get it together. Yeah. And then you gave up 3 more again, but this Mets team did not quit. They will never say die, and they came right back. P hit the home run, then Brett Baty hit the home run, first of his career off a lefty, and it was like, you're fighting, you're scratching, you're clawing, and you have every single chance to get in here and win this game. And then a big moment where the Mets did really have a chance. It got the game, I think it was to 2 at the time, and then eventually got to 1, was Jeff McNeil with Daniel Vogelback at the plate, nobody out, bases loaded. And a ground ball hit to first base. Every single Met fan moaned and groaned at the same time, like, oh, man, Danny double plays. It's going to happen again. And then Vaughn Grissom, who I've bemoaned a few times in this podcast for being, I just don't think he's a very good shortstop. He takes the throw a second. He cuts around the outside of the bag, as a shortstop would do. And then Jeff McNeil just slides into second base like super normally.
Great slide.
A very normal average slide that any baseball player anywhere always would say was good. And Vaughn Grissom just makes an erratic throw because he's a subpar defender. Then the Mets squeak out a few more runs after that.
Yeah, Braves fans online were trying to say that was a dirty slide. By no means was that a dirty slide at any means. That's one hard-nosed baseball. He also didn't hurt Vaughn Grissom at all. Didn't really make any significant contact with him. Didn't come in cleats up. Was he as close to second base as possible? I'm not gonna say whether he was or wasn't. I think that's for you guys to decide. And some of you watching the video version at home probably getting a little kick out of the faces that me and James are making here while saying this. But it was a baseball play. It was a baseball slide, and Vaughn Grissom made a bad throw, got behind him. The Braves didn't challenge. You want to know why? Because the Braves didn't think that there was anything wrong with it. So surely it was a completely normal slide, which it was by the rules of the game. And it did bring the game a little bit closer. Like you said, it brought it right back to a 2-run game.
Yes.
And it pretty much did sit there until the 9th inning when A.J. Minter came into the game, who I talked about all podcast last time of not being great. And to be fair, he still wasn't very great. I mean, his control was all over the place. But our boy Eduardo Escobar's coming in to face the lefty with the right-handed swing that I love so much of his. Hits a nice home run off A.J. Minter, and all of a sudden it's 9-8 with Brett Baty at the plate, who just got his first home run against a lefty. Earlier in the game, A.J. Minter was a little bit all over the place, and Baty tattooed it to right field, crushed it. It was just right at Acuna, and that was the end of the game. But like you said, this team didn't just like completely keel over and die. They were like, no, we're still going to try and come back in this one against one of the division rivals, which is what you're supposed to do, but it is also nice to see. Yeah, if we're going to take a silver lining out of a loss.
For sure. And it was like that the whole game. Like, they were down 6-1 in the second inning of this game, and they didn't die. And you give me the Brigham Minute, because Jeff Brigham did give up the big blow in this game.
I know. Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to do it.
I have to. I can't bask in the sun then run away from the shade. Like, this is the whole point of it. This is the experience.
Dude, that's Big J journalism right there.
It has to be. And one thing about Brigham, which is true again about every single reliever in this bullpen right now, is that they're being asked to probably do a little bit more than they're comfortable with. And he did come in. He got a big out. And what inning was that? I'm gonna check right now. He got a big last out in the 6th inning when there was a man on, but he walked Michael Harris and got Pilar. Then he came back out for the 7th, and he immediately gave him a double to Acuna. Olsen walked, and then Sean Murphy just hit a moonshot off him on a sweeper that just sat in the middle of the plate. It was just it kind of hung. It really hung there. And one thing that really concerned me about Brigham in this start, that concerned me about Brigham the whole time, was that his fastball velocity was way down in this game. It was down about a tick and a half from where it sat the rest of the season. He was really barely even getting to 93 over again. He was still getting there at the end, but it's just, I almost have a feeling that he was aware that this was going to be like a 30-40 pitch outing. He might have taken a little off, and that made that pitch a little less effective. That put more on the sweeper. That he eventually hung one, and that sucked. And it just sucked to watch Sean Murphy, the second of 2 3-run home runs in the game. Every single Met fan collectively is totally aware that Sean Murphy is going to be the biggest thorn in our sides for the entire duration of the 6-year contract he got for free.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like kind of anyway that we were slicing because Shea Langoliers really gave us a little bit of trouble too out in Oakland, but. Come on, how do they get Sean Murphy for free, man?
What was it for free? They traded William Contreras, a good ball player.
Yeah, but they trade him to the Brewers. How do the A's get nothing? That's what I want to say.
The A's got Story Ruiz. They think he's the guy, and Kyle Muller. So of course,
yeah. Oh, God, Braves get away with it again. They can't keep getting away with this.
I mean, you gotta get these guys, and shout out both Stephen Nogosek and Tommy Hunter
for sure
giving such important length in this game to even just get us to a point where we still had our best relievers available for game 2 in a game that was 6-1 in the 2nd inning that we kind of hung tight the whole game. And again, it came from Brigham. Like, I thought Brigham was a guy who was ascending to the B team, possibly the A team of this late inning bullpen. If he doesn't give up that home run, there's a good chance we win this game. So I'll wear this one. This loss is on me.
It's accountability. You gotta respect a podcaster who takes accountability for his takes.
Almost none do.
No, almost none. I try to avoid it as much as possible. I hope people forget my bad takes. They don't. The internet never forgets. Yours wasn't a bad take. You just were wrong. It happens. And game 2, like we said, was a loss. So you lose the series now with the second game of the doubleheader coming up with Tyler McGill on the mound going up against Uncle Charlie.
And at the time, this was the Mets' 6th consecutive loss against the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, why do you got to bring that up?
I mean, you're talking about accountability. Like, we have to be aware of this. Like, we have to know.
Fair.
Like, this is something that's very serious. We can't get to where we want to get as a petite baseball team if we can't find a way to get past this team. At this point, after Ronald Acuna is telling you you're too small, something has to change. Like, something does. And I was mad. I was really mad after this game.
Of course. And the game started off with some interesting sparks at the start too, because Ronald Acuna got hit with the ball up up in the shoulder area on an 0-2 pitch, I believe, and was then taken off the field, left the game with an injury, didn't play in this one. Tyler McGill, the ball slipped. It happens.
You're never going to intentionally throw the guy 0-2, so.
No. Well, he had him 0-2. He had him on the ropes. Yeah. I mean, listen, Ronald Acuna also dives over the plate. Guys trying to. I would too if I hit like Ronald Acuna. I'm not gonna lie. I'd act like I own the box. He just didn't get out of the way quick enough. That's what happened. And that was the end of the Ronald Acuna situation, I think. Right? I mean,
that was it. I mean, I guess we'll see him in August or whenever next time we play the Braves, July, or whatever. There's a stupid new schedule, but thankfully McGill did get us. He really settled down and feel like this entire roster. He just stepped on the mound. He did what he had to do. It is again that trend with McGill's been going on for most of the season where he's not striking anybody out still. He's not getting any swings and misses. He's not striking anybody out. And the big reason for that is he's just throwing all fastballs. It was like 70% fastballs in this game. And the good news there is that fastball velocity has ticked up again. It went up another half mile an hour in this game. He got to 97 a few times. That is something that is really, 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 really encouraging about Tyler McGill. But for some reason, there's a lack of comfortability with these secondaries. And it's something that it's just not going to last forever, Tyler McGill getting these at secondaries. I still believe in Tyler McGill as a pitcher and what he is. Yeah. I saw someone on Twitter compare him to, you want to get this, 2018 Vince Velasquez today. And it made me terrified.
Whoa.
Because I was like, if 31-year-old Tyler McGill like crushes it in a couple of years with like the Mariners or something, I'm going to punch a hole in a wall. But it was just seeing where that fastball is and how much hop he's still getting on it. And then the fact that the slider and the curveball are moving and the changeup has a good gradient of velocity with his fastball, but they're not, it's just not comfortable with them. He can't locate them right now. So he's close. He's not there. And again, it was so obvious that Buck really wanted 6 innings out of Tyler McGill.
Yeah.
He almost became, again, that elusive moment where the first Met pitcher completed 6 innings this year. And he was just running out of gas. And there was a walk. And then there was a long at bat and another walk. And then a lefty, Eddie Rosario, comes to the plate. And he works in that bat. and he puts one in the gap, and every single Mets fan collectively went, "Oh, not again! Oh
Not
my
Eddie Rosario.
God!"
Dude, okay, so it's crazy too because Eddie Rosario, known for having quite the loose bat. The dude swings at everything. He's allergic to walks, one of your favorite sayings that we use on the podcast. But against the Mets, this guy becomes the most selective hitter on the planet because he took 2 close pitches here, I think, from Tyler McGill to go up 2-0 in the count. And then McGill kind of has to attack him again because there was nowhere to put him. The bases were loaded. And he just hit that gapper, to which, by the way, Sean Murphy was out at the plate. I know it got reversed. I've never seen the umpires particularly this year have been just all over the place, but this was not like it was a reviewable play. Obviously, he was called out on the field, which is also so important.
It was incredibly nonchalant too when they reversed it.
Yeah, they were
Didn't
just
even
like, "Oh yeah,
mention
it's overturned. It's overturned, and he's safe." And I was like, first off, if you look at the replays, for sure wasn't undisputable. Indisputable is the word, right? Indisputable,
Indisputable.
Indisputable. It was not indisputable evidence that he was safe for sure.
Undisputable is the Skip Bayless show.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah, damn. He got him. Skip Bayless implanted that into my head despite never watching that show. That's a shame. Hate to give him free promo, although he really doesn't need it. I'm sure everyone who watches this knows of it. But yeah, I mean, I want to give credit to Nimmo and McNeil because that was a phenomenal relay for which, and a great tag by Alvarez too, for which Sean Murphy was called out on the field. Should have never been overturned. It was. And all of a sudden, like you said, the Mets are down 3-2.
Yes, and yeah, it's just frustrating that again McGill, who's not super effective against lefties anyway, like I don't know, it was really just dragging to the finish line. He had just such a close pitch against, I think it was Murphy right before Rosario on the outside edge of the fastball.
Yeah, because he went 0-2 on him too, I
Yeah.
think, and he went 0-2 on 2 guys, and basically just could not get that pitch. And with Murphy, it felt like a pitch around, but also if I could sneak a strike, I'd get it. And he snuck one to make it 3-2. But then couldn't get that strike 3, which was, like you said, it was so close. But Sean Murphy, he's going to be a Met killer. He's going to be a Met killer. We know that.
He's also going to be a killer. Like he's
good.
He's getting everybody out. He's crushing the ball right now. It's ridiculous.
He's always been good. He just played in Oakland, so no one cared.
Yeah.
But he's always been good. We've known it. We're diehard baseball fans, and I know the A's are your team. You're rooting for them to get some wins here. So.
The word's going to be the worst team of all time.
They're so bad. They're so horrendous.
Be sitting to Peter Luger's on October 1st being like, what was I thinking?
That steak's going to hit different, man. That steak's going to be so good. But at that moment, like you said, we had the, here we go again. Like it's the GTA meme. Here we go again. Like this is happening. But in the same aspect, here we go again with the Mets. They did not say die. They did not give up. And this team clawed right back.
No, right back in a really big way. And we talked about this the last game the Mets won last Thursday against Washington Nationals, where they were just like, simply, I'm not going to let this happen. There's no way I'm going to let this happen. And that inning was really just spurned by similarly exactly to what happened at the top of the inning. Charlie Morton didn't really seem to have his best stuff anyway. He was throwing only curveballs, it felt like, in this game. It was
50% curveball.
I'll get the exact number actually right now because I'm on the page anyway. Might as well. But he just seemed like Snicker left him in a little too long. He walked Vogie, and then he walked Canna. And it's a very uncharacteristic walk where it was just like 4 straight pitches out of the strike zone after a first pitch strike on, of course, a curveball. And then Brett Baty comes up, who's just been having just such an unbelievable day. And it felt like something was going to happen. He put one. He didn't put a nice ride to the ball, didn't get there. No, that wasn't a nice ride to the ball. Nice ride to the ball was in 9th inning, eighth inning. This was just a lazy fly ball. So now you got 2 outs. You're like, oh, man, we really got to get these guys in. And Francisco Álvarez, baby, he's been coming around. He's really every single game. It's so obvious this guy's learning. And he is so young. I really don't think that enough Mets fans or even baseball fans in general appreciate how young Francisco Álvarez is. There was
watching the game. My mom was watching the game with us. My mom was like, oh, who's that new catcher? I'm like, that's Francisco Álvarez, the prospect. My mom was like, oh, he looks like, how old is he? I was like, 21. She's like, he does not look 21. Like, he doesn't give off the vibes of a young player either by any means.
There's only 3 21-year-olds in baseball right now since Jordan Walker was demoted by the Cardinals. There's Alvarez, Ezekiel Tovar, and Gunnar Henderson, who are 3 of the top 15 prospects in all baseball. But the fact that Francisco Álvarez is a 21-year-old catcher, it's truly unprecedented what we're seeing right now. I got a great tweet from a friend of the program, recurring guest, Matt Eddy, editor-in-chief Baseball America. Francisco Álvarez right now, he's about going to be seemingly the starter-ish catcher for the Mets this year. Seems like he's almost done enough to see, like, I could see it happening for the rest of the season. He's on pace for 250 plate appearances. Just 20 catchers since 1900, 123 years ago, have had at least 250 plate appearances in this season at age 21 or younger. That's 20 in 123 years. The last one to do it was Pudge Rodriguez in 1993.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
And you want to know what the other name that I was going to throw out there too, of someone who's definitely been a part of that? Johnny Bench.
Yes.
Someone that we mentioned earlier too, had a little bit of a rough start to his career.
So as rough as Francisco Álvarez has looked at the plate so far, and there have been some bad games, some bad weeks. We know that.
But since
the last week, it's really found a way. That home run of Tyler Rogers, I think, was a big confidence boost. And what we're seeing right now is literally unprecedented. There's no statistical comp for the modern age of baseball for a 21-year-old catcher who's playing this much baseball. And Alvarez came up there. He came up hacking like he always loves to do. Second pitch was just a slider that I don't even know who this guy was. Matt Tonkin. I never heard his pitcher in my life.
Matt Tonkin, Michael
Tonkin, maybe it was Michael.
I think they were saying he might have been playing for the Long Island Ducks at some point. Like he might have been an independent ball guy. So good for him.
Tonkin. Yeah, great for him.
Glad he got hit.
No, yeah, hung a slider right over the middle of the plate, and Alvarez just laced it down the line. We got 2 runs out of it, and you took the lead back. And there's that moment where like we cannot let this lead get away. And
nope. Drew Smith comes into the game, who I feel like we haven't seen in forever. Just glad to see Drew Smith back on the mound, and he was cash money as always.
Having such a good year.
Drew Chains, baby. We love Drew Chains. Drew. What do you say his nickname that he went by to? Drewby?
Drew Boo.
Drew Boo. Yeah, but Drew Chains, but I got me a few on. He was absolutely cash money again. We also got a little bit of insurance as well. Robertson came in for the 8th, did a good job the first time through. We also got that insurance from Jeff McNeil with that late home run, which was big because Jeff's been swinging the bat great. He's completely back to like where he was last year, hitting 300 with an 800 OPS.
And Baty almost hit another one that inning.
Almost, yeah.
He had this. It was the furthest hit ball of the entire game at 400 feet.
Dude, let's just talk about Brett Baty for like 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
He's just so good.
He's incredible.
He's really, really good. And I think all Mets fans, if you've been watching these games now, you've been able to see the progression game after game after game, the comfortability. You saw the home run against the lefty, hit a double down the line earlier. He's had, I think they said he had a hit in like 8 of his last 13 or 12 games, whatever it is.
He had 6 hard hit balls today in 9 plate appearances.
That's fantastic. The guy's a hard hit ball machine. You're starting to see him lift the ball more too, which is something that we didn't really get to see a lot last year. A lot of balls hit into the ground and at the start when he got called up, hit into the ground. But his pitch recognition has been phenomenal. He's been hitting the ball hard. He's been hitting it to all fields. Brett Baty looks like that dude.
And so a play that might have just, again, we're both freaks of nature. Like we see things on a baseball field and we'll just text each other something that would look completely average. In the first inning, he cut off a ball like in the hole and like started a double play. We were like, oh my God, that was so amazing. And it was.
And it signals the confidence too, because that's a play that if you're not confident as a rookie or as a player, just in general, take away the fact that he's a young rookie, 22-year-old, cutting off Francisco Lindor, an all-star caliber shortstop. He's cutting across the infield to make that play. That tells me that Brett Baty's comfortable. He's just playing baseball now, and that's exactly what you want. And when you look at his numbers, what is he hitting, like 350 with a 930 OPS right now or something?
That was after game 1. At the end of game 2, a game where he had, again, 3 hard hit balls, 1 to the warning track, but still only went 1 for 4. He's hitting 333 with a 919 OPS.
It's pretty good.
No, that was another thing too, we kind of thought but didn't say. I feel like going through the offseason, early part of the season, there was like almost never a concern the way a lot of other people were concerned about this Mets lineup, because we knew the top 4 were going to be strong, and there was not that much doubt. And we said this on air and off air that like Alvarez and Baty were going to come up, and there was tons of confidence they were going to play well. But again,
yes.
It wasn't going to be instant. They weren't going to hit the ground running probably. I mean,
no.
Baty technically kind of has. It took him 7 games, 8 games to figure it out, but just knowing that those 2 guys waiting in the wings, 2 of the 20 best prospects in baseball, 2 guys who had shown elite raw power, 2 guys who shown great pitch recognition, 2 guys who have shown great patience, 2 guys have shown, honestly, for their age, it seems like kind of legitimate like leadership qualities. Like just knowing that we had those guys waiting in the wings, that was the ace in the hole for this Mets lineup. We knew that was there. And that's I'm confident in this lineup right now, especially with these 2 guys in the bottom of us flipping it over. And the issue, just again, this pitching has to be good, but big shout out to, I wanted to do extra shout. We talked about him already, but Drew Smith just getting the last out after that Tyler McGill inning and then coming back for the shutdown inning after that. He has struggled with up downs, a phrase that was very popular last year, a bit early on his career. I guess early, he's like 30 now. So I guess just as a veteran reliever, Drew Smith, but cool. It's every single inning against this Braves lineup, you're going to face someone scary. So really just cool. And maybe it's Chadwick Trump by the 9-hole in game 2, but you're always going to see someone real in this Braves lineup. And it's very cool that Drew did that, and Dave Robertson came in for the 2-out save, and we got this win. Kind of felt like getting the monkey off our backs, and before just going out Detroit for a few days, getting the big boys back.
Yeah, talking about Chadwick Trump too. He scared us a little bit with that 9th inning leadoff double against David Robertson.
That's why I said it.
His hands. Yeah, Chadwick Trump, by the way, electric name. That's such a sick name. I don't know what it is. Gary was talking about it too on the broadcast. He's like, sometimes you laugh a little, you giggle, you really enjoy saying someone's name. He's like, Chadwick Trump is one of those. It's just a good name.
It's a great name. But again, it was very, very, maybe just for my own psyche, just for the weekend I've had, just whatever going on in life for any of us here, like, it was really cool to see the Mets win this game today. It was,
yes, really needed it.
When Alvarez hit that double, I started banging on the wall. I was so excited.
Oh, yeah, me and my dad were sitting next to each other on the couch, and it was like, let's go! Yeah. Like, that's our boy. There he is, Francisco. Finally. Remember, don't call him that nickname that's horrible. Don't call him that. Francisco, El Troll. We don't need to give him the horrible nickname that I'm seeing circulate more on Twitter. I'm not happy about it. You know what the nickname? I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to push it any further.
I actually never see it anywhere.
Well, I don't think you follow those people, but
I don't follow idiots on Twitter.
But yeah, let's just call him Francisco Álvarez, El Troll. He's a generational talent. Let's make sure we give him the respect that he deserves. Big hit, and he was pumped, which was great. And he got was that his first post-game interview? I think it might have been. Shout out to Alan as well, doing the interview on there on the field.
Of course. And yeah, just every single day, these guys are getting more comfortable. The confidence is growing. It's May 1st when we're recording this. May 2nd, hopefully, when you guys are listening to this. There is so much more baseball we played this year. We've played 29 games. I literally did the math. If we were an NFL team, we'd be in the beginning of the fourth quarter of week 3.
There was a funny tweet, I think, that went out on Friday after we lost to the Braves from Anthony DiComo. And granted, these the pace stats are stupid.
Yeah.
But again, Mets fans, we're a little irrational at times, maybe a little quick to judge. And you would think the season was over after losing on Friday or after losing game 1 today. But after Friday, I think the Mets' 162 game pace was still 92-70, which is kind of funny to say out loud. It's like, season's over. We're only going to win 92 games.
There's so much baseball we played. We're talking about before. You guys remember 2015, how bad the Mets were in April, May, and June?
Remember when Wilmer Flores was crying on the field because he thought he got traded, and then they blew that game against the Padres in the rain the next day, and it was just like, oh, the season's really over. What are we going to do? And then Cespedes came here. Baseball is long. I mean, not to rub salt in our wounds, but we were in control pretty much all last year, and then all of a sudden it got swept out right from under us. It's a long season. It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And if you finish hot, you got a chance to make some noise.
Yeah, it's like this would be the fourth quarter of week 3 if we were in the NFL season right now. Or actually, no, I only did that with a 16-game schedule. For the 17-game schedule, that'd probably be in the first half of the week 3.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. There's so much baseball. There's so much baseball left. It's ridiculous how much baseball is left. And the fact that these guys are getting these reps now, and we still have gotten combined this season, I'll get the number in a moment because it's going to be really funny when I say it out loud. The combined 19 innings of Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander in the first month of the season. And this team is even still above 500. You're like, okay, let's just play some ball.
It's almost like everything that could have gone wrong did for a little bit.
Yeah, Edwin Diaz tore up his knee in the World Baseball Classic. It's a lot of baseball left here.
A lot of baseball left here. Speaking of which, we have the series coming up against the Tigers, which means it's now time to do the estimate and then the series preview. Last one was for total innings played. I was actually even higher than what total innings played because we've got a 5-inning game, but I am the victor, so I think it's now 4-3.
I think so. It might be 5-3.
John is not here, so yeah, maybe not all the conversation about whatever nonsense he's got.
I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna come on and say something quick, but first, here's 14 minutes on something you don't care about.
We love you, John. Don't take it personally. We love
John
you.
doesn't listen to these shows and he's not on.
That you think? What do we think?
It could be our bet. Let's say something right now. Test. Yeah, this could be the test.
This would be a test if John listens. We'll see if we get a text from him tomorrow.
John, if you listen to this podcast, text us papaya.
Yeah, papaya. Definitely shoot us a text papaya. If not, we know you didn't listen. But regardless, we have the estimate to go here. John texted me the estimate. He said, estimate is total Ks by Verlander and Scherzer in Detroit. Because as we know, they're both back and they're both pitching against their former team in Detroit, which is also just weird coincidence. So take a prediction here of what you think these guys are going to do. Detroit Tigers lineup we know is not good. I think I can really feel confident saying that. It's not a good lineup.
It's not good, but I'm pretty sure they'd make a lot of contact in a weird way. I'm double checking now.
Which
totally
would make
wrong.
sense.
Third highest strikeout rate in the league.
Okay. Third highest strikeout rate in the league with guys who strike out batters. This is going to be a fun one, James, for these two. You got to consider how many innings Verlander's even going to throw to in his first start of the year. Scherzer coming back after missing some games with the suspension. I'm going to write down a nice number here. I'm going to write down a good number that I feel confident about.
I got one too.
I've got my number.
All
you good?
Yeah, I'm ready. I got mine too.
All right, remember we gotta say it out loud too for the people at home because
Of
most
course.
people listen to this podcast.
By a lot,
So
of course.
we've definitely forgot to say it out loud before. So 3, 2, 1, showing it. I've got 12. James got
15.
15.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Wow.
we have an odd difference. That
Yes.
means there cannot be a tie unless somehow we find a way to get half a strikeout, which I don't think is gonna happen.
No, the opposite. There's not a difference, so we can tie.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah,
No,
we
we
can't
can't.
tie. No, we can't tie.
Can't tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come
Nice.
on.
I
I'm a
don't know.
numbers guy.
Not numbers guy. Wow.
12 and
Why'd you go
15 for
so
the
low?
strikeouts. Just because I figured I'm going conservative. Like, give me a strikeout an inning, and we're gonna get 12 innings out of these guys.
The only reason I wanted to go conservative under you. I honestly figured you'd go shoot for the moon because that's kind of been your whole moniker with Mets,
okay.
with the estimates so far this season. Because I am worried. There's just more rain in the forecast, and we don't have
Are you serious?
and we don't have
In Detroit?
I mean, it's just rain in New York. I mean, usually rain in Detroit comes a day before the weather in New York.
I guess. I don't know. What I heard on the broadcast today was it's just gonna be a little bit cold, which brings us into the series preview here. That it's gonna be about. I don't know, James. You want to take a trip to Detroit maybe tomorrow if you want to go?
I'm already on AccuWeather right now.
Yeah, what do you got for us? Because I heard it's going to be about 40 degrees, maybe dropping into the 30s, which goes,
Yikes.
cool. Love that we get to visit Detroit in May. That's
Yeah.
cool. Couldn't play that team in August.
Yeah,
because,
I know.
You know,
I know all about.
sure
I
play
know all
them
about
again.
Midwest Maze. They're not that much fun, but yeah.
Especially in Detroit.
Monday, colder with a shower or two. High of 42,
So
and
that's today.
Tuesday, yeah, game 1 of the series, and that's that'll be the 80% chance of rain, and then
Sick.
Wednesday, warmer with showers in the afternoon, high of 56, low of 42.
Oh, sick.
So
Sounds like
I
fun.
wanted to go conservative because I did think there was a chance with these two lined up to pitch on the second and third game of the series that might miss one of them again.
All right. So I'm going in low with 12 there. You went with 15. We'll obviously check back and see. Pitching matchups, we talked about it already with Scherzer and Verlander, but let's just go through them all again one time for us, James, with as well as who the Tigers are rolling. Because, this if we were in person, this would have been the fun game to play. Can you name players on the Tigers?
I can name a few players in the Tigers just from playing in
15
person fantasy baseball leagues. But our pitching matchups are going to be Joey Lucchesi versus Michael Lorenzen, then Max Scherzer versus Joey Wentz, and then Thursday matinee, Justin Verlander versus Eduardo Rodriguez. And also for all the Mets fans at home, keep in mind the start times for Tuesday and Wednesday are 6:40 Eastern.
Is Detroit an hour behind? Can't be. If they're doing 6:40 Eastern, then it'll be a 5:40 start. That's
I don't
weird.
believe so. Chicago's basically where the central time zone starts, and Detroit's east of Chicago.
Okay, so yeah, so it's gonna be 6:40. I love a 6:40 time start, especially with the
amazing.
new baseball and how quick it feels. These games have been great, by the way. I
For
love
sure.
how quick these games move. Although the Mets really find a way to play a 3-hour game every time they're at Citi Field. I don't know how they do it.
Every single time. But we should talk a little bit about these guys. The only pitcher I have something even kind of interesting about, I would say probably is Joey Wentz.
Oh, really? I thought it was gonna be Erod.
I mean, Erod. I feel like people know Erod. He's got the sinker. He's just a good.
He's been
good veteran.
He's been good this year.
He has
right?
been good this year. But Joey Wentz was something of a prospect a few years ago. Out of all this entire cohort of Tigers' big pitching prospects, he was by far the least critically acclaimed between him, Matt Manning, Tyreek Skubal, Casey Mize, and he's the only one who's actually giving real innings for the major league team. They've not been very good innings. The ERA is almost 7, and his whip's like 1.3. But he does have a good curveball that he never really throws. It's a lot of four seamers and cutters, which weirdly look kind of similar because four seamer has some weird arm side run. I'd like to hit him, but he does have a nice curveball I like a lot. It's one of the most aesthetically pleasing pitches you'll see in Detroit this week.
On the offensive side, too, we're going to run into a former New York Met great big trade deadline acquisition, Javi Baez, of course, famously from the Trevor Williams trade. So it'll be nice to see Javi again. He's actually been swinging the bat well after getting benched for not knowing how many outs there were by A.J. Hinch when they were in Toronto. But since then, he has played a lot better. That being said, if he sees a strike, that's a problem. Just throw him balls, he will swing. Just look up Javi Baez swinging at balls, and you'll find videos of him having some of the least competitive at-bats I've ever seen in a baseball game.
And there's something that Javi Baez hasn't done yet this season. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to. I'm just saying something that he hasn't done yet. That's something he usually does somewhat of a lot. So if you guys just look at his season stats, you'll see that there's just something Javi Baez hasn't done. Also, want to shout out Michael Lorenzen, who can transition from being a reliever to a starter a few years ago, coming from the Reds. He was like a bit of a two-way player before, too, which was kind of fun. He's a great athlete. He can hit a little bit. He can play outfield. He can run. He throws 7 pitches with consistency.
Really?
7, yeah.
Huh.
In most of his starts this year, he's thrown all 7 of his pitches. So that, I mean, again, not very good, but it's a fun wrinkle.
Are we facing him?
Yeah, I just said facing him tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Tonight,
I don't know why. I thought you were saying Matthew Boyd. I didn't even hear Michael
No.
Lorenzen out there.
Yeah, why would
And okay, I got a question for you. I got a Tigers fan, and out of the bullpen, he's been telling me about Jason Foley. Jason Foley. You know anything about this guy?
Yeah, nothing on Jason Foley. Let me check him now.
Yeah, because I know you're the pitching whisperer, and he's been telling me he straight up said, ask James about Jason Foley. I'm telling you, this guy's got something. I'd love to hear your take on it. He is a biased Tigers fan.
Based on what I'm seeing right now, just the fact that he has like one of those good hard sliders, upper 90s fastball, really, really good extension, it seems like, but he's not getting a lot of swings and misses.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
That's interesting. So maybe that is, because they're sinkers. Okay, that's interesting now, not fastballs. But it also looks like his command is a little bit shoddy. But I definitely see the vision here for sure.
Yeah. On the
Interesting,
offensive side, some other names to quickly mention too. Spencer Torkelson, former number 1 overall pick. I still hits the ball hard. It's just Detroit, so you're not going to see a lot of power in that stadium because it's just so absolutely massive.
They brought the fences in, right?
And it's still absolutely massive.
Yeah, but I think it's playing a little bit more neutral this year. It's still just an issue with it might be them.
Okay, maybe it's them. Nick Maton's a name that you've seen around a bunch because he's been with the Phillies along with Matt Vierling. Riley Green is another one of their former top prospects that has been a little bit underwhelming thus far. And of course, this will be probably the last time that Miguel Cabrera ever plays the New York Mets. So if you just respect the game of baseball, even if you're maybe not a diehard Met fan or Tigers fan, should be watching this one because, I mean, this could be one of the last times as a Met fan you watch Miguel Cabrera play, and he's obviously one of the greats.
Am I wrong, or is he in the IL?
No, I think he's playing. I think he's just
Once
been
in a
having a really bad season because
okay.
he's old. He's 40 years old, and the power is for sure not there. He can get you a single. Let me tell you, that guy can still hit a single through the hole, but the power, that's what goes with age. Still one of the greats. 3,000 hits, 500 home runs.
Yeah. I don't think it's talked about enough that Miguel Cabrera, when he was like in his heyday, he was just the biggest prankster ever. Like you would watch him on a baseball field and he would like be screwing with guys like the catcher, the first baseman, the second baseman. Like go like on TikTok or YouTube, find a compilation of Miguel Cabrera like doing weird things in the baseball field.
Dude, how about when he hit a home run off a intentional walk pitch from Roger Clemens? Roger Clemens was trying to intentionally walk him and he just crushed it for a home run. Like one of the great talents that have at least played in our lifetimes. So for sure, going to watch his at-bats whenever he gets there. Hall of Famer. But I hope he goes over. That would be great.
That would be great. And the Mets have a stretch right now where they're going to be playing 3 straight series against the Tigers, the Rockies, 4 straight series.
Yeah, you're going to have Tigers, Rockies, Reds, Nationals.
I forgot about the Reds one, right? Reds. But I would caution Mets fans not to be like, we got to win every single game of all this, or what are we going to do right now? And someone actually specifically asked Buck about this post-game today, and he said there's real dangers in thinking like that. And I do agree with him.
Yeah.
You cannot think you're really necessarily better than any other team. I should win this game because they're bad and I'm good. That you should never do. However, I would like to see the team play well.
Yes. And if the team does play well, they will win. That is a fact. I think we can say that.
Also, I've been watching some videos of this guy, Jason Foley. That sinker is demonic.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. I'll send back to my Tigers friend.
And he's rocking a 70% ground ball rate right now, which I've never seen before.
That's interesting. In Comerica, of all places, to be a real
Just throw a bunch of ground balls.
Seems kind of pointless, but whatever. We've now been going about 45 minutes on this episode, one that we thought was going to be quick. We got to watch this Rangers game. I don't even know what the score is.
It's 0-0 first intermission.
Oh, okay. So we're getting back or getting done here right at the perfect time. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching this episode of the Mets'd podcast. Just one quick little thing. Shout out to my grandma Yaya. She was a big listener of the podcast. Passed away a few days ago. Had the funeral and stuff this weekend. So shout out Yaya, listening, Mets'd up listener, even though she knows nothing about English whatsoever and has no clue what's going on. But she was a huge Mets fan. So shout out to her. And I think that's a good place to wrap up the episode. Follow us on all our social media at Mets'd Up on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're looking for the YouTube video, the New York Mets YouTube channel, go subscribe over there. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And follow me at Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode after the Tiger series. Peace out.
Peace out. See you guys next time.